Hey y'all, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and today I'm out here at, this is technically Renaissance Park parking, but I'm going to Coolidge Park, and I'm going to shoot street photography. I'm going to work my way through Coolidge, probably walk across the Walnut Street Bridge, or maybe on the North Shore on Fraser and down Cherokee somewhere in that neighborhood. And I'm just going to do a 30-minute POV and talk to you guys about my philosophy of street photography. So you get like a little visual, as well as I'm going to try to make it podcastable, where you can listen to it in the car and it's still something valuable enough that you don't have to look at the screen to see what's happening. So it kind of does a double whammy. Let's see that. Let's see how this works. Park the truck at parking lot 263. Anyway, let's make our way across here. I'm going to set up my camera. I'm using a manual focus 50mm lens because I prefer that over an autofocus lens for street. Now, there's two big strong schools of thought for that. You can either run an autofocus camera and learn really efficiently how to autofocus your camera, or you can learn how to manual focus it. All right, I gotta stop and make a small adjustment to my system. My microphone for my audio is like way too high up. Give me just a second. Okay, I went and got a spare battery out of the truck, and now I'm headed out. And here we are with the weed eaters again. What is it with me and weed eaters? I don't know. Anyway, the settings I set my camera up with, if I'm really wanting to focus in and zone in on street photography like today, is I set the camera and forget it. Okay, all I got to do is worry about compositions. And I always come with a theme. All right, we'll get into that more in a minute, but the settings for my camera are f11. Yeah, f11. It's overcast today, so there's going to be a lot of diffuse light. I'm going to avoid that weed eater. He's over there. Oh, it's a leaf blower. I'm going to try to stay away from him. But since there's so much diffuse light, my goal is to kind of capitalize on the lack of shadows since it's overcast. Come up with something interesting like this. There we go. But no one's playing in the fountain today, which is kind of unusual. Usually there's people playing in the fountain. The camera doesn't have to do any thinking about focus if I use a manual focus lens. So what I'm going to do here is set it to f11, and then on the lens barrel there are markings that show what's reasonably well in focus at different apertures. And if you'll set the infinity marker to the number 11 on one side, it'll show you on the other side roughly what's going to be in focus, and then the center point of what the focus point actually lands on. And on my lens, it is f11 lands on about 12 feet to infinity, and the center point of focus looks like it's about 20 feet. So anything 12 foot and on will be reasonably well in focus. So what I'm trying to do now is come up with my project today. Let's get over here and see if I can get this to work. There we go. My goal today is framing. And if you saw that picture, then you understand that was an easy one. I want to try and do framing with objects in the scene. And let's see, I really need to set a timer. Let me do that so I don't forget how long I've been doing this. 30 minutes, start. I set the shutter at 1/200th for shooting action on the street. Unless it's some kind of specialized project I'm working on, I will always set it at 1/200th, auto ISO, and either f8 or f11, depending on proximity, things like that, you know. Today I'm using f11 because there's a lot of diffuse light from the clouds. It just makes everything blown out if you don't like run the score up on it. And it also gives me a deeper field of view. I'm going way too fast. I'm starting to get winded trying to talk to you guys and film this while I'm at it. I'm gonna slow down some. And I also don't chimp while I'm in the field. I have the auto review function turned off on my camera on purpose.
Stop. Hey. They'll take any attention they can get.
Why do you put mama on a leash? Why do you put mama on a leash?
That's right.
Uh.
You know, when I get
But so I'm not looking at the photos while I'm here. I might, like after I get done with a walk and sit down to drink maybe a cup of coffee or a bottle of water or something, then I'll kind of scroll through the camera and see what I've got. But I try not to look at them while I'm in the field. It works out better that way. You don't miss stuff as bad if you're actually not looking at the back of your camera than you are if you were looking at the scene around you. I always recommend, like, don't chimp is what they call it. Now that I've got the camera set up, I don't care which camera I use. It's not special to me. I have favorite cameras, but I don't have one in particular I want to use. Typically, I'll grab my favorite. And my favorite changes with time. I've had a Fuji X-T3 I used for well over a year. I love that camera. It's actually a lot of fun to shoot with. But now it's kind of become Sierra's camera when she shoots with me. We'll shoot together and she'll take it and I'll take whatever I'm using that's just flavor of the day. But right now my favorite camera is a Leica SL2. And for a couple of reasons. The SL2 gives me a 47 megapixel stabilized sensor, high dynamic range. It's just a really nice camera, okay? It's very, very nice piece of equipment. And for the way I shoot, it just fits me really well. Now, for other people, it can be other machines. You know, you don't have to have a Leica to be able to shoot street photography. Leica is kind of synonymous with it, but it's not like a requisite. Fujifilm is also very prevalent in the street photography space. Not with Nikon and Canon so much. They're represented, but Fujifilm sort of dominates it with Leica. Them two kind of, that's the cameras that most people use to shoot street. You got the little niches like the Ricoh GR3 crowd, like Ulysses Aoki and Samuel Street Life and those guys. As far as diehard street guys, it's always going to be, I say always, but you know, you just see the bulk of it is either Fujifilm shooters or Leica shooters. There's, like I said, there's others, and there's always going to be slices of that pie for other people, but yeah, you'll see that a lot. I'm trying to slow down because I'm going way too fast for street photography. So if you look around us, there's a family behind me. They were getting out of the car when I walked by. I can frame with the center of the bridge opening. And then I'm gonna have some framing opportunities with the steel. That was my goal, was to use the superstructure of the bridge as kind of picture frames. So we're gonna see how that works when I get up here. The size of the camera, I keep hearing this preached, okay? The size of the camera doesn't matter. If it's your favorite camera, use it, all right? I don't care if it's a 1DX Mark III. If that's your favorite camera, shoot street with it, because you're gonna be more than likely prone to shoot with your favorite camera than you are with a small one because someone's told you need a small, compact, unobtrusive machine. Yeah, people notice my camera. I don't care, it's mine. It's what I take my pictures with. So just use it. If you get hung up in that aspect of it, you'll end up buying these little tiny cameras and never enjoying yourself using them because you think you need something that you don't. Everybody in front of me is walking away from me right now. This is starting to look pretty promising. So typically when I shoot street, I normally use the viewfinder, but when I have the action camera, I got a DJI OSMO Action now. It's kind of a weak photo. I like to have at least, 3 compositional elements I'm just practicing today is what really is happening. If you go out with a task at hand, a project goal, for instance, then you have direction and you start looking for things that fit your goal. You know, it becomes goal-oriented success. Since I'm doing framing, I'm looking for shapes that create natural frame elements that I can put a subject in and take a photo. Yeah, like this. Yeah, I lost it. He's gonna be over to the side. Let's see if I can find something that works out for that. Let's see how that works. It's kind of complicated. But yeah, I always try to go out with a goal. Don't just go out with the idea of I'm gonna take pictures today. Because every time I've ever done that, I end up just aimlessly wandering about and I don't see anything of interest. So you always need to go with a goal in mind every time. Even if it's something as simple as the color red. Just something. Pick a goal. Leading lines. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be these elaborate goal techniques. You know, if you want to make them elaborate, suit yourself, you're probably going to have a low success rate. But you don't have to have big, complicated, lofty goals to go out and have fun. Another thing I would say is have fun with your photography. Bicycles just went by. I think they're electric. I was kind of hoping to find people sitting in these park benches. It creates a cool frame segment. Yeah, so far I ain't got much of anything. The framing at the very beginning was the best one so far, under the bridge. I've heard pick one lens and stick with it. Now, this is a semi-true thing. And you know, it's all opinion anyway. But my opinion is I like to have 3 lenses that I can pick from any given day. And I normally don't go out but with 2 of them, but I like 3 focal lengths available depending on what I feel like shooting that day. A lot of times it'll be a 24 millimeter and a 50 millimeter and a 135. You could cover all that with a zoom lens and it would be fine to shoot with a zoom. I'm not opposed to zoom lenses, I just like primes. Now when I normally, like today, I only have my 50 millimeter today. So with that, it limits me to what I can and cannot shoot. Let's see if I can make this work. That actually seems pretty cool. But I normally try not to even take my camera bag. If I can make it work where I don't need it to go, then what I'll do is I will take a couple of spare batteries. Typically one, see, there's my spare battery for the SL2. Just take the camera and leave the rest of it in the truck. That makes you a little more nimble. Now, I shot with a wrist strap for a while, but I'm not a big wrist strap guy. And I have, like I said, I have 1 or 2 of them, but I like a neck strap. The reason I like a neck strap is because it frees up both hands when you're trying to do something. There's a remarkably small amount of people out today. I would figure I would see way more people this morning than I'm seeing. Fire truck on the other side of the river. But my philosophy is just get out and shoot something you enjoy. Now, if you have inhibitions about interacting with people, that's a big point of contention with street photography conversation. You see a lot of people talk about this. You have everybody from the likes of Bruce Gildan all the way up to the likes of David Saylors and Grant Govero, because me and Grant like to shoot telephoto lenses on street sometimes. You know, we're shooting 135, 180 millimeters. No, Bruce Gildan, he's shooting probably 24 and getting right in the face of people in New York City. I'm not one to just shove my camera in somebody's face. I just didn't grow up being that kind of person, so it's just not who I am. You know, you don't have to like step outside your comfort zone. You hear people say that. Get out of your comfort zone and learn to do something different. Okay, I get that a little bit, but if it makes you unhappy to do street photography, you're not going to go. What you're going to do is you're going to find every excuse you can come up with to stay home and do something else, and you're just not going to do it. My vote is to pick a focal length that allows you to engage with your subject matter at a distance that you feel comfortable shooting at, and use that lens. Now, the point of focal length is to try and fill the frame with the subject that you're trying to capture. And in street photography, you don't, well, the idea normally isn't just to have the person doing it only, but to also have a like the scene. You're trying to capture the scene. Oh, you gotta let me get a photo of the photog with the what appears to be a film camera.
It is a film.
Oh yes. Dude, that's epic. Which one do you have? The SRT 201?
101.
Nice.
Yeah.
My 201's broken. I can't use it. That's pretty sweet. You too. That's pretty cool. He's got a vintage camera like that works. His is older than mine. I've learned a little along the way about how to come out of my comfort zone somewhat and interact with people, but I'm still a neophyte at it, you might say. Trying to find something that has framing opportunities. It's not easy to come up with something here. Hey, they finished it. I just realized this is done. They've been welding on these steps forever. They finally finished them. They got little bike mounts here. This is pretty cool. All right, let's see if we can get this to work. Some cool leading lines. Oh, it stopped. Just take a couple of frames and move on. Yeah, I think I'll walk down the hill. I'll go back across on the Margaret Street Bridge. But how much time have I got left here? I want to make sure. 11 minutes, okay. But yeah, you pick a focal length that generates the result that you're comfortable with capturing. You know, if you're not comfortable capturing 24 or 20 millimeter photos, you can get something longer. I ain't got a problem with that. Good morning. It just begs the question, why are you out here dressed to the nines with a shopping cart? Really? They're bringing the groceries here. Interesting. Ah, thank you. Getting back to the subject at hand. That was actually a pretty good street photo to me, because I've got some interesting elements added together. You got her dressed up, reading her phone with a shopping cart on the sidewalk. That makes for a fairly interesting photo. It would be cooler if there was something else happening, you know, maybe a dog hiking and peeing on the cart or something, you know, you get it, but it's not obligated. That's my thoughts on focal length. You know, you hear people say all the time, 28 and 35 mil is the magic focal length. No, it's not. The focal length that you're comfortable using is the magic focal length. It's that simple. With the advent of modern technology, I'm just going to be honest with you, I prefer a high megapixel full frame sensor now that I've used it, because I use crop sensors a lot for street. I was shooting with the XT3 for over a year, and I got really used to using that. It's like a 28 megapixel crop sensor, I guess, but it allows me to adjust the scene in post a little bit. I can crop it a little and get away with it, but with this SL2, it's 47 megapixels. I can crop a lot of this scene. I can recompose the scene completely and still have a very high megapixel image when I'm done. You know, the other day I was walking around and I was kind of doing the whole shoot from the hip of the 24 mil thing, and it allowed me to get an incredible amount of candids without people even realizing I was taking their photo. Oh, the little market's open. We'll go through the market, see what I can come up with. So yeah, this is a good frame photo. You got the two little boys sitting on the steps and the mom taking the picture. Most likely by the time I get there, she'll be done. I'm gonna head that way. I might make it in time. Yep, she's done. There's my chance. I'm just 2 minutes late. Now, subject matter. Okay. This is the part that will probably garner a bunch of thumbs downs. Just a picture of a person walking down the street is boring. Okay? No one cares about someone walking down the sidewalk. All right. Let's see here. Show me what's interesting about this photo. Nothing. It's a person walking down a sidewalk. Now you need, in my opinion, and I kind of get this a little bit from, what's his name? I kind of get this a little bit from John Free. He likes to have at least 3 elements in a photo that come together to create a working image. What that means is you need 3 objects or 3 actions or a combination or even more if you can get it, that all add together to tell some sort of a visual story. And someone walking down a sidewalk is one, literally just one. So you're short 2/3 of the compositional elements that you need to create this interesting scene. There is no framing opportunity. Oh, maybe there is a framing opportunity here. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see how that come out. Camera's not level. I can level it in post. The magic of 47 megapixels. The corners will crop off slightly, but I can get a decent level out of it. Framing it is not as simple as I thought it was. Here I am struggling for a frame. Now look, what we're looking at right now is a family crossing the street. There we go. And we'll see how that come out. And like I said, I have reviewed absolutely 0 of these photos so far. Now this has potential. Let's see what we got here. Let's see if I can get this in frame to where it does something. But yeah, that's my philosophy, is you want your images. So normally if you go out shooting street and you capture a bunch of images, you'll normally cull all of them except maybe one. Now, as far as my street images go, I have a folder that has very few actual images I want to keep in it, and the rest of them, well, honestly, I share them in these videos to share with you what my thought process on photographing is. I'm not printing these images. These are content. They're not photographs in my mind. You know, does that make sense? The whole podcast thing, I just realized, fell apart when I was referencing things that are happening in the video. Figures. But hey, here we go. I got a possibility with the loop of this handrail, these people crossing down the street. So let me get over here and see how this is going to work. Right there. There is no people now. Oh, here we go. We gave it a shot. Okay. To wrap this up, I'll just go ahead and wrap it up now. To wrap this up, if you'll pick your favorite camera, put your favorite lens on it, because like some people worry, I got to diverge on one more little small topic before I wrap up. And that's perfectly sharp, or what some photographers call tack sharp images. Let that crap go. Photographers that shoot street have an understanding of reasonably in focus images. As long as the image is reasonably in focus, it will tell the story. Street photography is more about telling the story than it is about the photograph being in focus or perfectly razor sharp or perfectly composed or whatever. So you want to tell the story more. So just keep that in mind. That's why I set zone focus and then just snap the frames and move on. It simplifies the process. You can look for the story and not have to worry so much about, is it tack sharp? So people that use autofocus cameras, they have to remember that camera's going to latch onto something for focus point, it might not be what you think it should be. So that's another reason to shoot manual focus and to set it for a zone and just roll with it. Because then everything's in focus. And what you was wanting to tell the story about will be there. I personally recommend your favorite camera, your favorite lens, zone focus, manual focus so the camera doesn't hunt, 1/200th of a second shutter speed, auto ISO, f8 to f11, f16 if it's super bright. You don't want to blow out your frame. But you can always check your settings later, and if you're overexposing, then you can just add some more shutter speed to compensate. Like right now, yeah, I'm overexposing a little bit right now. There, 1/320th fixed it. And with auto ISO, it'll float around, keep it all corrected. So, and if I forget to turn it back down when the shadow of the cloud comes, it'll just add some ISO, and I'll be good. Try to go out with a goal. Like I said, today mine was framing. Try to have more than one compositional element in the frame. Because if you have just one element, you're not really telling much of a story. Ain't good. If you want to tell a story and you really can't just like get your mind wrapped around the multiple compositional element ideology, then try the idea of triptych photos. Evan Ramp does them, and he does them well. And so does Thomas Heaton, done one the other day on a landscape video. What it is, it's a series of 3 photographs. No, my timer just ran out. It's a series of 3 photographs that tell a story together. You can use them 3 images as if it was a single image, but you know, put them side by side, and the 3 images will tell the story and give you multiple compositional elements that way. You think about the great, man, these cars are loud going over this bridge. The great street photos that stick in your head, do that. With that, this is David, the Georgia photographer. I appreciate you walking along with me as I walk around downtown Chattanooga with every car in the city. Wow. Okay. Surely they'll go away in a second. Alright. This is David, the Georgia photographer. I appreciate you watching. If you haven't done it yet, hit like and subscribe, all that jazz. And until next time, until next time, get your camera out and go take a picture with it, all right? We'll see you later. Bye-bye.